Alright guys, welcome back to Rampant Lion Reviews, and today we've got a Belgian beer from a Belgian brewery. Okay, so for this one we have a Pwemier, and it's the first Pwemier ever on Rampant Lion Reviews. No one else has reviewed this before, so I've got the bragging rights for doing this beer.
Everybody's reviewed this before, James.
Since when?
Stop telling porkies. Everybody's reviewed Duvel before.
It's not Duvel, it's Duvel. It
Duvel.
means devil in Belgian.
Duvel.
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 Duvel. Alright.
All
Now
right.
that we've cleared that up. Duvel.
Duvel.
Duvel. Devil in Belgian.
Oh
Oh,
dear.
dear.
This is lovely. All right. Hi guys.
Okay. Yeah, so we just kind of thought it would be fun to have a look at this beer again, considering
When's the last time you've had it?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
I've had it a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, do you remember what the ABV is?
In the high hundreds, I think.
Yeah, it's 109.5.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a big ABV beer,
It's
people.
a big ABV beer,
Yeah,
109.5% ABV.
It's a monster.
Yeah, monster. You could do some crazy things after 109.5% ABV.
You can do many weird things after that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, that's what we want. This is why we're doing the Pwemier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's totally true.
Yeah, without the E at the end. Yeah. Okay. Well, yes. So yeah, we just thought it'd be fun to try this beer again.
Actually, without shits and giggles, I've never actually reviewed Duvel on my channel. I've had enough of them. I've had the OG. I've had different Duvels, like some of the collab stuff at A, things like that. But I've never actually reviewed Duvel,
Okay.
which is kind of weird.
Yeah. No, it's I've not. I mean, this. I think we used to get this in my local Tesco in Aberdeen, and I just tried it because I thought, this is when I was just like, let's try different beers, and I remember that it's just one that always kind of stuck with me. It is actually quite a nice beer.
What are your expectations if you haven't had it that long? Do you still think it's going to be that classic, or do you think it might be underwhelmed?
I honestly don't know. I honestly have no idea what to expect from this one, but it's always nice to review a Belgian beer from Belgian brewery.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Okay. So to tell you a little bit about this brewery.
Let's take this review quite seriously, though. Otherwise, I might have to take you out into the shed. Okay?
Into the shed. How much was your shed?
12,000.
12,000 euros.
Something like that. Yeah.
Ah, did you get that after 10 of these?
No, 11.
11.
11.
Hardcore.
I'm a monster.
Hardcore. Man. Hardcore.
Yeah.
They don't mess around in the Netherlands. When did you start drinking?
By the tender age of 13, I think.
Tender age of 13.
Something like that, yeah.
That's it. Oh dear. Okay.
All right. Okay. Now let's get back to the serious part of the show.
The serious part of this world premiere of Duvel. Okay, so my brewery notes. So Duvel, owned by the Duvel Merkgart Brewery, Flemish family-owned brewery, founded back in 1871 by Jan Leonard Merkgart, who came from a family of brewers in Steenhoefer. Probably butchering these wrong.
I'm so not saying anything.
They're now based in Breenden in Belgium, which has a small town of about 3,000, halfway between Brussels and Antwerp. So in the 1970s, the company struggled financially, so they bottled and distributed Tuborg, which allowed them to create a large distribution network for the Duvel beer. So Duvel Merkgart Brewery was also an investor in the Ommegang Craft Brewery in Cooperstown over in New York in America, and they also purchased Brasserie de Chouf, the ones with a little elf guy on them, and also the Deconic Brewery in 2006 and 2010 respectively. In 2014 they also acquired Boulevard Brewing in Kansas City in Missouri, who are a very good brewery incidentally. You need to try some of their big stouts. And the following year they purchased Firestone Walker over in California. So the Duvel beer is I did it. Duvel. So the Duvel beer is the flagship product of the brewery, and it's exported to more than 40 different countries. And the word Duvel translates to devil in Brabantian, which is the Ghent or the Brabantian, Ghent, and Antwerp dialects of the Dutch Flemish language. Is that right?
Give or take.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it's right.
Yeah, but it was originally brewed under the moniker Victory Ale in the 1920s to commemorate the end of the First World War, where lots of people just died for stupid reasons because, kings just like to show who had the bigger dick back in that day, because apparently that's what they did.
Only back then?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't think so much now. I think it's more politicians these days rather than kings. Kings, Kaisers and Tsars.
Same difference, but yeah.
Same difference, but yeah. But an avid drinker would describe this apparently as nun echten duvel, which is a real devil, perhaps in reference to the ABV, so, which as we know is 109.5%. So, and thus the name was changed to Duvel. So, this one apparently is brewed with Pilsner malt and dextrose, and it's hot with Sats, or Žatec as the Czechs would call it, and Styrian Goldings from Slovenia, all foreign. But the yeast comes from the original culture of Scottish yeast. Ooh, a little bit of a connection to Scottish people. But it's brought by Albert Murgart during a business tour just after the First World War. Wonder if it's a Scottish yeast that lives in Sweden and is a hater. What do you think?
What? Say it again?
Do you think it's a Scottish yeast that lives in Sweden and is a bit of a hater?
No. They don't exist.
Maybe it's a good...
Only nice people
Only
come
nice.
from Sweden and Scotland.
And crazy people.
Oh, very crazy people.
Yes. Okay, good. Well, yeah, and you were saying as well that Duvel on
Brouwerij Ei.
Brouwerij Ei
Yeah,
in
it's
Amsterdam.
one of the oldest Dutch craft breweries. I'm going to be honest, they sort of took a turn for the worse, because it's as if Moordgat made some sort of arrangement that they have to start using that typical Duvel yeast for many beers, and it's not, no, for me, I sort of plummeted a little bit after that happened, but yeah, well, maybe that's just me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Definitely good. So yeah, now I think we should crack open this world exclusive Pwemier, shouldn't we?
You have your bottle over there, I have my bottle over there. You go right ahead.
There you go.
And
Look at all the smoke on the opening.
probably a lot of hashtag dirty glassware in this.
Okay.
I always start pouring these way too enthusiastically. I know I need to start calmly, and you see, you already got the better of it. It is the archetype of the strong Belgian blonde, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, see, I'm a knobhead.
Because that's how you would classify this, wouldn't you? A Belgian
Yeah, Belgian
strong blonde ale, I guess.
Yeah, a Belgian strong blonde. Some people say Belgian strong golden. I would say more blonde. Golden for me has a bit more of a dark colour to it, and that's a nice pour.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's just the way the lighting is falling into it, but mine looks a lot paler. That's probably because I'm, like I said, I have a knobhead pour. Harry would be proud of this pour, by the way. Look at that.
Well, this is a Harry Meadows session ale for sure.
Oh yeah, this is where he starts to say, like, I think I'm feeling a buzz.
It's not dragon soup though. It's not quite as refined as dragon soup is. Yeah, it's not as classy as dragon soup. There we go.
It's got a lovely combination going on.
So yeah, there we can see the nice artwork of Duvel. Remember, it's devil in Belgian. And then on the back, you've got some nice artwork. I've not seen this on.
That's new.
On them before.
This has to do with the new. Here, I got this glassware. This is actually. This is for the second time in my life. I'm really stumbling over my words. I've had beer mail from Duvel twice now, where they send over goodies, and the last time and beer. But the last time they sent this glass, and this is by I forgot her name, but a tattoo artist did some artwork for this lovely glass. It's the classic Duvel shape. With this sort of, what do you call it, those tattoo style. It's a certain tattoo style. I like it, it's a good glass. I don't really take it out that often. But yeah.
My head's gone a bit bigger than yours.
It's slightly active, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very active. Wonder what's causing that.
This is not a glass with one of those agitators. This is pure. Duvel is really that carbonated, really that active.
Jeez.
This is why I said I started pouring it way too aggressively. You poured it very softly, nicely, and see what happened. This was. I still have a very thick 3-finger head there. I think you're sort of double fisting over there.
Yeah.
Harry would be proud of you.
We need to get the headphones on later.
We do. You do have to get those headphones on. Did you bring your headphones?
I did actually.
Good, because I only got the plugs. But I had earplugs. That went sour very quickly. So I would like to invite you to partake in the aroma of this beer. As much
Looks
as
like
you
an
can.
ice cream float.
That's ridiculous. Can you put it in such a way because people can only see.
How the hell is it getting bigger? Look at this. This is getting bigger.
The last time I had that with a beer was actually a Bretted beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt that there's a sort of wild.
You know why it's behaving like this though? It's because we're not drinking it in the shed.
No, that's probably
why.
it. We should have gone into the shed.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been shit.
We might have to do something about this to actually taste it though.
You need to eat that head
Yeah.
first. Yeah, and now you got Harry aroused.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Oh. Yeah. So yeah. As you can see, lovely blonde colour.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Lovely blonde appearance, this one. Yeah. Perfect white head, basically. Little touch hazy.
Little touching, but that's a classic, the Belgian blonde haze, not
You would. Yeah.
not that new age.
That new age New England.
No.
Proper,
This is just
proper Belgian.
very Belgian.
Belgian. Yeah. Proper Belgian.
That bubblegummy, banana.
Mm. See, I find, for me, it's coming out. I don't find this one as yeasty now as I might have in the early days.
For me,
Like
that's
that, yeah.
funny because I still think of this as quite yeasty.
Mm. I definitely do get a little bit of that, but it's the hops and stuff that come out of this for me more.
There's a lovely hoppy aroma here.
Mm.
There's definitely a lovely hoppy aroma. Don't start thinking about your haze for days West Coast hop stuff, but that classic noble hop, that citrusy note, grassy, bit peppery.
Yeah, a little bit almost like almost a little bit spicy and wheaty.
Yeah.
Does it have wheat in it?
I don't think so.
Mm. Yeah, no wheat.
And definitely
Barley
that.
malt.
Yeah, and definitely that bread dough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You do get some of that classical Belgian yeast out of it.
Mm.
You get a little bit of that kind of grainy thing. I think there's a wee bit of biscuit in there as well.
Definitely
Like
biscuity.
cookies, as the Americans would say. I do wonder what's caused the confusion with the ABV on this one, though.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I will say though, with all joking aside, it is a sneaky bastard.
Oh, yeah.
You always finish the bottle way too quickly.
Yeah. But I think it's fair to say after 10 of these, it would flatten you no matter what size you are.
I have to agree. No honest man would stand straight after 10 of these.
That's the key word there, honest. Yeah.
It's nice though.
It does smell nice. Yeah, I love the grassness. You get a little bit of a kind of appley peary thing out of it, I think, as well. The fruity side of the beer, apple and peary for sure. Yeah, nice grassiness. For me, it's just the hops. It must be the head. It must just be the head.
I'm guessing.
You should do a little bit more.
If you cut that out, I'm gonna kick your ass. Oh dear God in heaven! What the hell did you just do?
I think I took it down the wrong way. Actually,
I'm not even commenting on that as well. Did you hear that, Harry? You took it the wrong way.
I went down the wrong tube.
Oof. Oh my God. That's why I'm taking it so easy. You're just way too eager to partake in that ABV.
Oh yeah. So you guys, I can't hand him a drink.
No.
Except terrible Scotsman.
I'm gonna have to take a
I'm just a pretend beer reviewer.
Yeah. You really are though. You really are though.
Oh fucking hell.
Mate, let's go for this, man. Cheers.
Yeah. Slange.
Slange.
That's actually remarkably easy.
That's where the word comes from, Duvel.
Mm.
Because this one does really trick you. And you could finish this as quickly as you could like a simple lager. It's that crushable. It's got a slightly thicker mouthfeel than a lager, but other than that, it has that refreshing, citrusy, inviting aroma with a bit of a kick in the back, and a sort of a weird astringency. And that weird astringency always gets me. What is it?
Oh. But something from there, it'll be the yeasty side of the beer that's doing that. Well, that was one way to get rid of the head, though.
It is.
Take a sip, yeah.
Well, we did have a pizza earlier, and that fatty residue that's still on your lips will...
You break it down, yeah.
Yeah, kill it straight away.
Yeah.
Kill it with fire. Would you, when you drink a beer like that, will you always take all of the sediment in the bottom of it in there, or will you leave some in there?
I usually try and stir it up a little. I usually pour in like to a bit here, and then see there's some, and then sugar it up a bit, and then put it in. If some's still left at the end, then fair enough.
I always have a tendency to want to drink it without first. And I mean, in the honest classic Belgian traditions, there's still several bars out there that will give you a small second glass where you can just pour the beer. What are you looking at?
Just laughing at myself, like coughing at the thing.
Oh, you're still not getting rid of that, are you?
Nah.
I'm glad it's on. I'm glad this was recorded. Oh, but in many traditional Belgian pubs, you can still get a small glass where you can pour your beer in a glass, and then you have that little extra glass for the sediment and everything, the yeast deposits.
Ah, okay.
And then you can, as they would say, digest this separately. And if you wanted to, you could pour a little bit. But in some classic Belgian traditions, they very much frown upon adding that yeast deposit in the beer.
Yeah. No, I've seen that. Some people are like, yeah. Some people say put the yeast in. Some people say not. Some breweries disagree on that as well. Actually, yeah. But I have to say, I like this.
It is definitely not bad. Is it the best beer in the world? Is it the most? Is it one of the best? Is it the best beer in the world? That will always be, of course, your personal preferences. Is it one of the most well brewed beers in the world? I mean, it's always the same, which is a good sign, right?
So I mean, this is the thing for me. People always would say like, what would be a go-to beer? As I say, I very rarely drink outside of the beer videos these days, and a lot of that's just because of how much beer I've been given and so on. But I mean, Duvel, as I say, I've not had Duvel for. Yeah, I've not had Duvel in years. I mean, the last one I would have been one of the triple hop versions. I think the Cashmere.
I think it must have been 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, it was the Duvel. Because the one I was gutted that I missed the Amarillo version. Yeah. So yeah, I was gutted that I missed the Amarillo version. So yeah. I'm still laughing at myself.
I noticed.
This
is without a doubt. This is without a doubt the most off-script review you've ever done for your channel.
No.
Yeah, which is good.
That's fun.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's nice to review a classic Belgian as well.
It's very classic Belgian.
Classic Belgian. Yeah. But I like this. I do like this. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, the thing for me is, if I had where I was going with that, if I had a go-to beer, probably if I think about the Belgian stuff, it would be Leffe. Leffe and Duvel are very accessible in Scotland. So Leffe would be. I quite like the lighter beers. It'd be Leffe and Pilsner Urquell would be the sort of go-tos for me.
Pilsner Urquell, I definitely agree with you. If you were to talk about Leffe in the Netherlands, if you were to talk about the generic beer drinker, that would think it is one of the most classic, as we would call it, special beers. The real beer geek in the Netherlands, most of them will very much frown upon Leffe. It's ABN? No.
Yeah, it was bought over by.
Was ABN Bev? Was Grimbergen ABN Bev?
I can't remember, but it was bought. Yeah, it's no longer a. What do you call it? It's no longer a small brew beer. It was independent for a very long time.
Oh yes. That's why for many people it still is seen as, craft beer, Belgian classic. And we all grew up on it.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is, you can say the same with Pilsner Urquell. It's owned by Kirin.
It isn't. It is no longer craft beer, technically speaking.
Yeah, well, I mean the Pilsner Urquell is owned by Kirin, but the thing is, if a brewery is going to be taken over by one of the big companies, you want it to be one of the Japanese ones, because they'll just do it as you've been doing. They're just like we're just going to distribute it more and maybe help you make your factory a bit more efficient, but otherwise do what you've been doing. That's very much.
That's what makes Pale still one of the most classic pilsners out there.
Yeah.
Czech pilsner.
Yeah.
Czech pilsner.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's quite. I mean, it surprises me. I remember when I first tried this beer, I thought it was really heavy, but then it was one of my first experiences of the more Belgian beers. And obviously your palate's evolving over time, all the time. And yeah, these days it's just it's got a little bit of there's a bit of yeastiness back third of your palate, quite yeasty, a little bit thicker and almost a bit wheaty. Same time it does.
I get what you mean with that wheaty thing.
Yeah, it does have that spicy.
And that's what I also meant with that astringency. Astringency, it sort of reminds me of that wheaty astringency, but it's slightly different. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's off-putting, but I should be off-putting. I couldn't drink, I think, more than 2 of these in an evening in a session. Like if I wanted to drink several beers in a go on an evening, because that sort of bittery, yeasty, bittery, astringent note will get a bit too much. But other than that, it's just a lovely beer. Yeah, no, it is quite a nice, easy drinking beer. I think it definitely, in the middle third of the palate, it feels a lot crisper to me. Like, it's a little bit more kind of, the breadiness is almost a bit more grainy, if you like. And then, but yeah, the kind of yeasty notes for me sit on the back third of the palate. It's a bit more, feels a bit thicker and white bready and wheaty and a bit bitey, if you like, on the back third. That's a nice one, the bitey, that sort of,
And if you go into the middle third of your palate, it just kind of goes down a little bit. You get a more kind of crisp white bready sort of thing. Then on top of that, it's like a little bit kind of oily. It's got a little bit of a kind of oily biscuity type thing almost.
There's a sort of oily, greasy, buttery. Sometimes you get these beers that have a butter in a beer is always an off note. Every now and then though, you have a beer and you can't help but think, okay, something here reminds me of a buttery, like you said, oily. I don't know how to describe it without actually being the off note.
Yeah, no,
that's what it does here.
I've noticed this in New England IPAs these days. The style, at least in Sweden and Denmark, it seems to have evolved a little bit to have more of a sweet side to it. I mean, and I noticed that if you try, for example, when you try the Amazing Haze that I've got for you, you'll find that's a very bready, like quite crisp and bready New England IPA. Whereas if you compare it to some of the more modern Stigbergets beers, they're distinctly more caramelly and like butter candy like in the middle of the palate. This one does have a wee bit of that, particularly you take it in and it's quite crisp. You've got the bready crispness there, it's a bit biscuity, but then further into the aftertaste it's got a little bit of that buttery thing, definitely.
Maybe that's also because we're not drinking this at night, a very chill temperature. This isn't straight out of the refrigerator. We bought this a few hours ago, put it outside because it's quite nippy outside. And right now it's not at room temperature, but it's also definitely not at refrigerator temperature. And that brings out a bit more of that.
Yeah, makes it lean a bit more to the malt.
Yeah, and I think if you were to drink this straight out of the refrigerator or from draft, it would probably sort of go more for that citrusy, refreshing, highly quaffable. I love quaffable, it's a great word. It gets more of that quaffable. Now I actually want to take it a little bit easier because of that malty, caramelly, sort of buttery note. Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's nice. But it's a stupid idea to try and drink 10 of these.
You'd have to be a lunatic.
Yeah. And I think even the Belgians would not drink 10 of these.
Oh, there's probably definitely a few Belgians out there, like there's a few Dutch people out there.
Oh, they would try, but I think most definitely they would fall flat on their face. They'd gone after about 6 if you're lucky, I would think.
I'd say so.
5 or 6 would be as far as you get with this. But yeah, hoppy side of the beer then. What do you think?
There's this sort of, I don't know, citrusy, white, almost white grape. And I don't know if I'm going bonkers here. Yeah, definitely a white grape. For a second there, I really could have sworn I got a little bit of kiwi.
See, for me, it's quite. If you go to the back corners of the palate, you get the bit of the earthiness there, I think, which is both Jatets and or Sats and the Styrian Goldings, you get a wee bit of the earthiness, but then as you come further forward, I actually find this one seems quite spicy to me. And the Sats Jatets hop I've always found is a little bit more, they're a touch more spicy than the German Hallertau and Tettnangers. And around the front curve of the palate is a little bit grassy as well. It's got quite a bright grassiness, and I think that's the Slovenian hop, the Golding, the Styrian Golding.
I think these are hop varieties that a lot of people will have difficulty recognizing because they're only really used in styles like this. And most people these days, when they go to the hazies, the doubles,
these ones aren't going to be used. Yeah,
definitely not.
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious, what would a hazy IPA with Saz and Syrian Golding be like?
Could be interesting. Yeah,
I think honestly though, it would be an interesting experiment. It probably wouldn't be bad. I think it'd be a bit boring.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a very interesting It could be a really interesting one to try. Maybe a homebrewing experiment sometime.
There you go. Any homebrewers watching, please dare it.
Yeah, do send it to us and we'll review it in the 12 Grand Beer Shed.
There we go.
Yeah. So I mean, it's for me the fruity side of this one. It's interesting. When you said grape, white grape, I can see that. For me, I would always think sort of perry and appley.
I get what you mean with the perry and appley as well.
Yeah, I mean gooseberry. I don't know if I'd say gooseberry. It's not quite oily enough to be.
I get the gooseberry as well. Yeah, I see what you mean with that.
It's not. It has a little bit of that type of flavour.
Yeah.
And that's why I can see what you say grapey. But gooseberry for me is a bit more of an oily flavour that's quite similar. And I don't find this beer oily enough to be gooseberry.
No, but I do know where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a while since I've had a gooseberry, but yeah.
See, in Kopparberg, they do a gooseberry cider that I think I've never seen it outside of Sweden, and that's where I got really familiar with gooseberries again.
Don't ciders have to be made from apple?
That's English cider. Swedish cider is made, I think it's apple based, but then they put other flavours and stuff in it. So yeah, should have brought you some of those. Some of that I never thought.
Yeah, you didn't.
Yeah,
go get some.
Thoughtless bitch, haven't I?
Go get some.
Thoughtless bitch. Yeah, no, the fruity side of this beer, I find the fruitiness quite light, not really oily. It's almost more of a kind of crisp fruitiness.
And that's where I get the apple part, what you're saying, or like a pear, crisp, crunchy. Apple has that sort of fruitiness.
Yeah, no, I can get that. Yeah, definitely. It does have a wee bit of that kind of lemony, grassy zestiness to it as well, for sure.
And like I said, and maybe I'm going bonkers, but I'm just getting this sort of, in the distance, this weirdest hint of kiwi.
See, kiwi. I don't know. I've never. Kiwi's a fruit that I've not had too much experience with.
It's been ages. It's been ages since I had kiwi. I used to eat them all the time.
Oh yeah. I never really eat them, to be honest.
We'll get some kiwis tomorrow.
Could be worth a little tasting experiment, yeah.
Tasting it. By the way, just in between, for some people who comment sometimes, how do you get all these different flavours and notes out of a beer? As silly as it sounds, everything you can, smell it. If it's edible, eat it. Expand your library. Yeah,
your palate's always building all the time, and that's it. It's palate is always building all the time, and it's just a case of I used to experiment with different fruit juices. Like I used to just try. I liked one of the things. I never really liked the texture of fruit. I found it difficult to eat fruit when I was younger, actually. But I loved. It's just the texture used to make me like gag almost. But I loved fruit juices. I loved the different flavors of fruit juices. So that was how I ate my fruit, was like fruit juices. So I tried all these things like a kuya berry, cloudberry juice, various different things. For me, trying different fruit juices was really helpful. And then trying different breads and stuff like this, and
definitely also a good one.
Yeah. So that was it for me. I mean, your palate always expands, and I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, you always develop your own method of tasting things as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's always constantly evolving. So yeah. But I think this is it's kind of cool to just sit down with this beer again after so many years.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, I had it a few weeks ago, a month or two ago. I don't really remember. I remember sitting in a hammock and enjoying this one. I will always consider this such a, I don't want to say lowbrow, but do you know what I mean? Because it's so readily available and everybody starts with this in the beer geek scene, and then they evolve towards, or not evolve, but they move on towards other things like the hazy IPAs, the imperial stouts, your sours, and then you start to actually rediscover lagers. So I'm always a bit like,
it's like the gateway drug.
Like the gateway drug, and you're like, after a while, you're like Duvel, I don't know, Duvel, and then you try one again, and I'm like, actually, I really don't. You know what? For me, this would be great. And some people might actually think I'm a heathen for this, but this is the kind of beer that I'd like to have some nice snacks, 2 of these, and a nice movie, and just hang out on the couch, and then it's despite its profile, there's quite a lot happening. It's actually quite an easy drinking, simple beer.
Yeah.
And you don't really have to pay that much attention to it. You can just drink it, like I said, have some crisps, have some beer nuts, have some cheese or whatever, and watch a nice movie, binge your favourite show, and you can just enjoy.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. That's definitely fair. Yeah. But yeah, you're not going to drink 10 of them. Definitely.
No.
No. I don't know why you would want to drink 10 of these. Definitely. Yeah. But I think body-wise, mouthfeel-wise, I think it's kind of, I'd find this one in the middle of the spectrum, top end of mid-bodies.
Oh yeah, it's actually got for its ABV. Actually, sorry, I forgot to turn that sound on my phone up. For its ABV, it's actually quite well-bodied. Most beers at 8.5%. I've had IPAs that were 8.5% ABV that had, thinner bodies.
No.
Stouts of 8.5% ABV, thinner bodies. This is not that thin.
Yeah.
It's getting late.
But I would say for an 8.5%, it is light. It is lighter than. I do find this a lot lighter than I would have probably when I first started the channel.
You find it lighter now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Oh come on, but look at some of the crazy things that we've had over the years.
Oh, yeah, some of these Scandinavian imperial stouts and stuff.
Come on.
Jeez, yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
It's like syrup.
Yeah, basically drinking syrup. Yeah. But yeah, I think mid-bodied. IBU count I think is probably about 20, isn't it?
I have no idea. I'm wondering if they probably don't say it on there. I doubt they say it on here.
I would think this is about 20 IBUs.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher.
Yeah, it could be 25. I don't think it's. I mean.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was low 30s, but that caramelly note sort of balances it out. Because I keep again that lingering bitterness.
Yeah, the Sats hop coming out quite a lot in this one.
So I wonder if when they measure the IBUs, do they measure that?
Let's have a little look
for the finish as well. Yeah, could you check?
Yeah. We can cheat and have tasting notes in front of us like some people.
Can't do that. You can't do that.
Duvel 109.5 does it say? I keep saying that. Duvel 109.5.
33
33 IBUs. You were right.
See.
Yeah, there you go.
Who's the king reviewer here? I do know my Duvels.
Duvel.
I do know my Belgian buoys.
But do you know how ABV works?
I think as far as I know, if you have 8.5 and you multiply it by 10, you still get 85. But
you get 80. Yeah, if you drink 10 Duvels, that's 85 IBU. That's 85.
But emotionally speaking, it's probably around that 109.5.
109.5. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, I would have to admit, I would have thought, 20. I actually would have thought 20 for this. But I honestly wonder if my bitterness receptors have been muffled a little bit, because I've been complaining a lot about some West Coast IPAs that just aren't bitter enough these days. That's because they're not as bitter as they used to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can tell me whatever. The modern West Coast IPA is not a West Coast IPA anymore.
Yeah, it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same.
You've had. I was lucky enough to have Heady Toppet a while ago, and you just did a review of a beer. I'm not sure if I can mention it already.
Pliny.
Yeah.
It will have published by the time this publishes. Mm.
When you look at Heady, when we compare it to Pliny, well, Pliny is really the old school West Coast, right?
Mm.
Heady, to me, which is the original hazy, has a lot of West Coast properties. And I think that what is now brewed as a West Coast is basically sort of Heady inspired.
Mm.
And not Pliny inspired as it should be. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Mm. See, I would disagree a little bit.
That's okay.
I actually would find, for me, Heady Topper is quite, Heady Topper was quite farmhousey. I found it really farmhousey. Yeah, I thought it was a very yeast forward New England.
It is.
And
Definitely.
But I can see why you would say that, because Pliny, for me, I was surprised at how bready Pliny was. Because for me, I would always think before Pliny, the classic West Coast for me would be Sierra Nevada Torpedo, which is a big oily caramelly thing.
I don't know if I've ever had Torpedo. I don't think it's that readily available here. I'd love to have it because I've heard good things about it. As in what it used to be. I've also heard that it's not what it used to be anymore, but that is neither here nor there.
For me, Torpedo is a very big oily one, and Torpedo was probably the first big West Coaster that I would have come across. And for me, the West Coast IPAs were always big and oily, caramelly, but with the big hoppy things around it. So when I tried Pliny, I was surprised at how bready it was, I would say. Because I thought, and that kind of shows you, because I'd had a few West Coast IPAs, I thought that's quite a bready leaning West Coaster. Because it had the Pliny, I thought was quite biscuity, but at the same time had a good bit of bread underneath it. So that was interesting. But yeah. Oh, it's good. It's interesting to think about this. This is one of the interesting things. You always get these different perspectives on different beers. So yeah.
Just out of curiosity, because I just noticed that you did check Untappd for the IBUs.
Mm-hmm.
What is the rating?
3.75.
That is very oddly specific.
Yeah.
I know you don't do ratings, I think.
Mm.
But if you were to rate.
Oh. I don't know. See, I'm very indecisive in this way. I always treat my tastings as more of a how does it taste rather than how good is it sort of thing.
This is one of the reasons I'm considering to stop. I might have had 10 of these. I'm considering stopping rating on my videos. I would still rate on Untappd, but that's just sort of give myself the impression if I want to look up a beer, okay, I have the tasting notes, but what was my general rating? But like, yeah, that undecisiveness about how would I rate it, because while I'm reviewing it, I'm like, oh, I might give it this, and then, or only this, and then I'm drinking it after the review, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, might want to change that.
Yeah.
But if I were to give it a rating, I would probably, that 3.75 sounds kind of.
It sounds reasonable. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, as in like that's a decent. It's not that four or higher is for me definitely like world class, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And this is damn tasty, but well, yeah, that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's. I think obviously if you compare it to the Westmalas and the Latrat Tripels and stuff like this, yeah, it's not quite as it's not as kind of big and bold as a sort of strong gold beer can be within the Belgian Dutch kind of yeasty leaning category, if you like. But it's a solid one. I can see why this is a gateway beer for many. Definitely, I think we can definitely say that.
It's funny because I'm not big on that big of a sweet tooth. And I would say that triple usually is more sweeter than this.
Yeah, definitely.
But you just mentioned the Westmalle. If I had to pick between this and Westmalle, which is only half a point in ABV in difference, and sure, it's a completely different style, but it's the golden color, it's the bready malty thing, it's got the yeasty esters. You could sort of draw a sort of comparison. I would prefer the Westmalle triple over this.
What's the price difference for that roughly? Because this
what did
we pay for
Westmalle a week or two ago? I think it's sort of like same difference.
What did we pay for these? It's just like $175 or something. $175 for a bottle.
Do you remember what that bottle of Coke cost?
Can't remember. I think we paid. I've got a feeling these were 175. I'm sure that it was 175.
We had these two and a bottle of Coke, and
I think these are
475 or something together. So let's just.
I think it's
160, 170.
I've got a feeling these were 175 or 180 because they put the bottle on top. They put a charge for the bottle on top of that. Remember?
All right, yeah, there's the 10 cents deposit.
I think these are 175.
It sounds reasonable enough.
Yeah, 175, and then you for West Mali you would pay.
Go figure, 18 euros
For a crate.
No, for 10. You're smashed.
1.8. Yeah, so it's roughly about the same price. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I think on that note, I think we can conclude. Drinking 10 of these is a stupid idea.
That you and I are also a bunch of knobheads for being so silly as we are. You can't drink foam.
Yeah, I can't drink foam. We know that. Well, I don't think it was so much drink. I think it was inhaled.
You inhaled it.
I inhaled it and then poof. Yeah. I've had that with hot chocolate powder before. I've inhaled hot chocolate powder and had the same effect.
Oh dear Lord. I
don't know how I managed. It was because I was making the hot chocolate and went.
It's like a cinnamon challenge.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, to drink 10 of these is stupid. It's not 109.5% ABV. We've established that.
And mostly what we do, because why are we doing this video? Let's all keep in mind, guys. It's still just beer. We're supposed to have fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Especially after 10.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no, this one was just a little bit of fun. Just for obvious reasons. For those of you watching in the beer tubing community, you will realise.
Yeah. And we're just, you arrived a few hours ago. You're knackered. I'm knackered. And tomorrow, Sunday, we'll do the more serious reviewing and really go. But this is just having some fun on your first evening in Mikasa.
Yeah, Mikasa. So hopefully Thomas can come to Mikasa at some point once I sort out new Mikasa. Yeah, be awesome. Try some of the big Swedish and Danish beers, maybe some Norwegian stuff as well.
I think that sounds good.
Awesome. Yes, but yeah. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this this thing on Duvel coming in at 109.5% ABV. No, that's more like a Yorkshire accent, isn't it?
I don't know what the hell you just did, but all I know is it sounded very weird.
Yeah, that sounded more like ABV. It sounds more like a kind of Yorkshire sort of thing. ABV, that's more like it, isn't it? There we go. That's more of an Essex twang, more of a Bween Twee twang.
You know what? Yeah. Essex boys.
Yeah, more of a Bween Twee twang. I'll get taken to court for that. I need to watch.
You might.
I might. Yeah.
Wouldn't want that to happen.
Well, the police apparently are already after me, so yeah.
Again,
yeah.
Again with the police chains.
Strange. I live with like 3 people that have worked. Well, in Scotland I used to live with 3 people that were employed by the police at various points. So yeah, they're after me definitely. I need to get some tips,
Oh yeah.
Shitting myself.
I can tell.
Yeah, shiting myself.
Smelly here.
Absolutely shiting myself, But this was quite a fun wee thing to do. Thomas and I are going to go and have a bum in the 12 grand shed out the back now.
All right, with the whiskey flavoured Johnnies.
Yeah, with whiskey flavoured Johnnies and
all within social distancing rules and everything.
Oh yeah, strap-on's definitely involved here. Yeah.
6 feet. Right?
Big, 6 feet. Is that one? Yeah, 1.5. Is it 1.5 meters in the Netherlands that they recommend?
Fuck me with the imperial system. How does anybody even figure this one out?
Well, if it's 6 feet, then it's 1.8.
Americans would look at the ABV and going like, well, that's about they would look at an ABV and go, that's I think about 1.5 donkey in alcohol.
Yeah, but they use the freedom units.
Oh God.
So, yeah.
Now they just need freedom.
Yeah. That's a bit naughty.
I went there.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. This was a wee bit of fun. Duvel, a Belgian beer from a Belgian brewery coming in at 109.5% ABV.
45 minutes.
45 minutes. That's good. That's normal length.
That's like an episode of a TV show.
Yeah, but some people will still watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Duvel. I've hit the mic.